My first guest is a good friend, I still think. He was rooting for me on the monologue. He says, I'm really rooting to see how they're going to be. He's got one of the better shows on television this year, as his first show was some years ago. The series is called Newhart. Clever title, dreamed up by the people at... It's on Monday nights at 9:30. I wish it was on here, this network, but it's not. But he is now. Would you welcome and make him feel welcome? Let's meet and greet Bob Newhart. You see, I don't lie out there during the monologue.
No, I just happened to mention...
Last thing I said is I headed through the curtains, right?
Well, I have seen shows where the monologue didn't go all that well, and I felt a certain testiness crept into your attitude toward the rest of the evening. So I was kind of pulling for the monologue.
So if the monologue sets in, you know that everything is going to work okay.
For me, yeah. See, I had figured that with Tony Quinn on the show, I figured Tony would come out first because he's the bigger star. And so, well, thank you. Right on cue. Thank you.
A little plant never hurt.
Thank you, Mom. That's the old one. Sure. But then that would be like a buffer between the monologue and myself. But then I found out just before you were coming out that I was coming out immediately after
following the monologue.
And
well, actually, it worked very nice tonight.
Well, you have a lovely audience.
Yes. You're playing that old cheap trick now, huh?
No.
Butter up the audience before you really get going here.
No, you can tell. As you know, I assume you know, I guest hosted the show.
Of course I know. What do you mean?
No, I don't know. I don't know when you're off, if you check with people who's on or anything.
I watch when you've guest hosted, and I've seen you come out sometimes.
That's right.
And a piece of material.
Well, I've come out and not the hottest audience in the world, where the applause die out before you reach the star spot. And you've got to walk that extra couple feet by
Then you know you're in trouble.
Yeah. But this is a hot audience.
Oh, they're hot tonight.
I'm not currying favor with them.
No, I understand that.
I'm also not here to plug anything. I mean, it's not crass commercialism that brings me here. I enjoy talking to you. And
I know you do.
I'd rather talk at home, but this is the only place anyone can talk to you. So I have to... I have nothing to plug. I have absolutely nothing to plug. I don't have
any
albums,
dates. No pictures,
I have nothing coming up.
No hotel dates?
No.
Well, you don't do much of that anymore because the show takes all your time, right?
Well, it takes a lot of the time, yeah. I travel on the road. I mean, I still do one-nighters, you know.
Right.
That kind of thing.
But nothing to plug.
Not really, no.
Okay. Is Tony Quinn ready? I mean, Tony's got a lot of plug.
Oh, I know.
Tony's got a lot of... I always assumed you were Irish. People magazine had an article recently. Said you were 1/4 German?
Well, I'm 3/4 Irish, 1/4 German.
I didn't know that.
Which makes me, I have the German name. During the war, we called ourselves Alsatians.
Alsatians? The Alsatian family.
Yeah, but we were
Newhart,
German.
Of course is. I never thought of that.
And, but I'm actually 3/4 Irish, which makes me a very meticulous drunk. The Germans, see, I don't know of any German comedians because German people, a lot of German people do not have a sense of humor. You know, they're not known for...
I think that's probably basically true, yeah.
They're very literal people.
Right.
They're, someone once said that more funny things are said at a cocktail party in Paris than in the entire year in Germany. But they're very literal, you know, and they don't understand Americans because we're non-literal. We're like a German would say, why would you call this man curly? He has no hair at all. Why would you call someone curly who has no hair? That doesn't make sense.
That's not funny.
And tiny is at least 350 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, Dick Cavett was telling me he appeared on a German television show once, and it was horrendous because he would try to say something amusing, and then the guy in Germany would say, "Ich and so forth, and that people just sat there. And because it was probably some play on words or something, it meant absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Well, even when, like the Volkswagen, I got the feeling when they made it, you know, they said, this is one of the finest cars, it's a very economical car. And you say, well, what are the little holes in the side for? That's ventilation. That's for ventilation. You might put a machine gun in there. And the sunroof, when it opens up, you take a tank.
Serves two purposes in case things are not going
just
well.
in case.
Did you ever play in front of a... You've never played in Germany, have you?
No, I would have no reason to. I mean,
you see, no, that's true. But singers, you see, can go and sing all over the world, even if they don't understand it and enjoy the music. But I would think trying to entertain in another country where they didn't really know you would be very difficult.
Yeah,
How about England? You work England, haven't you?
Yeah, but they speak English.
Well, I'm aware of that, but
the point you were trying to make was going to a foreign country where they would speak. I think the point you were trying to make.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
England is still a foreign country.
Yes.
Although they do speak English.
That's right.
Of course. Right. Now, the point is that the cultural things in England,
I see.
certain speech patterns, rhythms, and so forth, are different there.
True.
Even though it is a foreign country.
It certainly is.
And, you could refer to, I guess, somebody from England as a foreigner.
Sure.
Sure. Have you ever worked in England?
No. Yes, I have.
Okay. Yes. Now, my next question is, because they didn't give me this job because I don't know how to ask questions.
You can see why so many guys have dropped along the way.
That's right. They don't know how to ask questions in any kind of sequence at all. Incisive, deep, penetrating, and that's an audition that you have for this. Mm-hmm. So my next logical question would be, how did you do there?
Very well. But I mean, even if I didn't do very well, I'm not going to say I didn't do it. Why would you want to blab that around? You know?
That's right.
I'll tell you where I didn't do well.
Where's that?
In Australia. I did very poorly in
Well, now
Australia.
they speak English there also, don't they?
Yes, they do. That's another of what we call the English-speaking countries.
Do you think it was because it's a big island? So maybe you did. Have you ever thought of that?
Great Britain is a big island too, you know. So I don't think Ireland had anything to do with it. We picked the wrong time.
Did they roll something across the ceiling just now?
Yes.
Upstairs? Okay. I just heard some rumbling because I remember years ago when you were here, we had that earthquake and the building started to rumble. And anyway, you played Australia.
Played Australia. Didn't really do all that well. I showed up. First of all, it's a 22-hour flight.
Right.
Which I'm not all that crazy about. And we arrived, and I was going down to rehearse, and as is my custom, I went to the maitre d', and I said, how many people do we have tonight? And he said, we have 14. 14? Just 14 people. And so I figured, well, maybe Monday is a bad night in Australia. And so I said, how many do we have tomorrow? And he said, we have, tomorrow, let me see, we have 9. And I said, well, how many for Wednesday? And he said, we don't have any for Wednesday. And it was awful. And Ginny...
And you still went out? And...
I had to. I mean, Ginny was sore from the flight, so she went... It happened to be, the hotel happened to be in the R&R district of Sydney,
right.
Where during the Vietnamese War, the soldiers would come to this area, and again, they didn't know when they went back whether they would, ever be around again. So they tended to be rowdy, I think, and a lot of nude places and things like that, live nude on stage, kind of. And so Ginny looked up in the phone book and went to a massage parlor, and she went in, and the girl was giving her a massage, and the girl said, am I being too rough? And Ginny said, no, that's fine. She said, well, you're the first woman I've ever done. So she had wandered into one of those massage parlors. Had heard men laughing on either side of her.
Only Jenny would do that.
Only Jenny would do that.
Jenny thought she was probably taking a nap. Your wife seems to be prone to take naps. Remember, I joked about that.
That's
once.
right, you did, yeah.
She probably thought it was just a rest stop or something.
This was going so
I know,
damn
it occurred to me that somewhere I think we lost him at England.
Yeah, that seemed...
And you brought up Australia.
That's right.
That's right.
I was trying to save you.
Yeah, that's true. That's what we're here for. We're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back and...
See, I would have put Tony Quinn.
Also in that same article, People magazine, it said that you remembered almost word for word the worst routine you ever did, which is unusual because people say we usually remember the better things and tend to forget things that
don't
didn't.
Don't you remember the...
Oh, yes.
Yeah. For some reason you remember...
something that just didn't work at all.
Oh, boy. It works out pretty much, I would say, 5 to 1. I mean, for every one that works, there are 4 that don't.
Right.
And I did a routine on a guy who went to, and it may work now because of Star Wars and all that.
Yeah, was this early in your career?
No, it was, yeah, it was early.
Well, when I mean early, I don't mean just when you were starting, but within, say, the first 10 years.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. What was the...
I didn't know this was a quiz. I thought it was
no.
The talk show.
This is it. Okay.
Okay. It really doesn't matter how early or how late in my career this happened. It died. It died.
I shouldn't have interrupted you. I don't want to do that.
But it was a thing on a guy going to, like, Venus or Mars, you know, the first civilian. And he then comes back, and he's being interviewed on his impressions of Venus or Mars. And he goes to Mars, and they ask him, are they more advanced than we are? And he said, yes, I would have to say they're more advanced. And the interviewer says, how? God bless you. The interviewer says, how far advanced are they? And he says, I would say 6 weeks. 6, 7 weeks. Because I remember when I was up there, they had the double-edged blades, and then when I returned, it was like 6, 7 weeks before we had the double-edged blades, and that was one that died.
But the premise is wonderful.
I think so too. You know.
But when you said 6 or 7 weeks, the audience just sat there waiting
just stared. It also went on from there. It got worse. He said, well, how would you describe the Martian people? He said, well, Martian, they're very small people, by the way. He said they're very small, and they only have 1 ear. And a guy came up to me, we were at a cocktail party, and he asked me, could I loan him $5? So I loaned him $5, and I ran into him 2 weeks later at the same cocktail party, and he, like, avoided me, you know, and I went in to put my coat down on the bed, you know, and he was there, and he, like, avoided me. So I would say Martians are cheap, you know. It's happening all over again.
How long did you pursue that routine? I mean, did you keep that in?
About as long as I've done this.
What is the old story about the fellow who goes to Mars and says the women were different physically? Remember that joke?
No.
He says, how are they different? He says they look pretty much like women on Earth, except the breasts are on the back. And the fellow says, that's really terrible. He said, well, it's great for dancing. That's the kind of stuff you need to do. You see,
if I had known that joke, I would have put it in.
If you had known that, you could have put that in after. I would have taken the coats 6 weeks advance and the cheap stuff. Sure. Okay. What?
Commercial time, sir.
Right. Okay. It's commercial time.
Is it?
Yes. We're going to come right back. Stay where you are.